and welcome back to MW Barbie Dolls. Today I'm going to be painting doll clothes and accessories to be more Halloween themed. I am going to start with this gray shirt that I made, which is really plain. And so I'm going to paint a pumpkin onto it using paint and Mod Podge. And I chose to use a glossy Mod Podge so that way it'll be shiny. And this orange acrylic paint, as well as, for some details, this green acrylic paint and some black acrylic paint. And I don't want to get any paint on the table, so I'm going to use this plastic wrap to paint on. So I'm going to start by painting a thin layer of Mod Podge down as an outline of the pumpkin. Also, so that way there's a base for later on when I draw the orange. And then I'm going to go back in with the orange and fill in the pumpkin with a nice coat of orange. And then once the base of the pumpkin is painted, I can go in with this green, which I am going to mix with black because it's not exactly the green color that I want, but it's the only green I have. So I'm going to mix these colors together to add details to the pumpkin. And this is a really good color for it because pumpkin stems do tend to be sort of like a dark green, almost black kind of color. And I think it's looking pretty good so far. And it does still look pretty plain, so I'm going to draw the divot stripe things into the pumpkin. And this paintbrush doesn't quite get like all of it, so I'm going to use a needle to fill in some of the holes. And the first two lines are kind of dark, so I sort of blended them a little bit, and I think it looks pretty good. And so I let it dry for about an hour, and that's probably a long time. And so now I'm going to go in with glossy Mod Podge and to really seal the pumpkin onto the shirt and also add a little shine. And then the final thing I'm going to do for this shirt is using that needle I used before. I dipped it in some orange paint and I'm just going to sort of dot it around the shirt to add little orange specks. And now it's time to try the shirt on the doll. And I already know it fits, but it looks really nice and looks way less plain and very festive. And the second painting thing I'm gonna do is the shoelaces of these shoes. And the Barbie shoes are kind of plain, so I'm going to paint some black and matte Mod Podge mixture onto the shoes. And I'm not going to paint the shoelaces individually, I'm just going to paint all over. And I know it looks messy, but once I rub it off, I think it looks pretty good, but it is still a little bit messy. So I'm going to use a wet paintbrush to sort of like scrub off the excess in the areas I don't want it. And I think that they look pretty good and spooky. So next, I'm going to paint some white fishnets black. And I'm actually not going to be using these white fishnets. I'm going to be using these ones, which I made the mistake of taking to the beach, but luckily I have two, and I think that painting these fishnets black, it will hopefully cover some of the discoloration and make it look spooky for Halloween. And then I want to let this black paint saturate, so I'm going to leave it in this plastic wrap overnight, and I actually left it in for 24 hours. And so now I'm going to wash the paint off of it and hope at least enough of the black saturated. And so far I think it's looking pretty good. And then I let them dry, and it's more gray than black, but on the doll I think they look really good and not so weirdly discolored. And I think that the whole outfit looks really good. And this doll is one of my favorites, but I feel like I want her makeup to be a little bit different, but I still want her makeup to look good. So I'm going to put a lot of Mod Podge over her lips, and so that way it will seal the makeup that's already on her on. And I'm using a lot because I don't want to completely ruin her. And then I'm going to go in with this sort of dark pink color, so that way her lips will be sort of more spooky, kind of. And this is how she looks. I think that overall, all the painting looked really good, and I especially love the shirt. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!